Mindset, a daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markle. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markle.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it happens to be that you are listening to this show, Morning Mindset. That's a great thing about the ability that you have to listen to this show at any point in the time of the day or night. You don't have to listen to it in the morning. I mean, maybe you want to. Maybe you can listen to it in the evening. But we're going to continue with our book study. That's right, the book Morning Mindset, a 30-day plan for a more positive and productive life. We've been doing this for a little over a week now, and we're going to continue. And as I said before, if you don't have a copy of the book and you can't follow along because you don't have a copy, you can fix yourself real quick, fast, in a hurry by going to Amazon.com or Amazon/Kindle and picking up a copy of the book. That way you can follow along. All right, today's subject. Are you living in a life raft? You're like, no, I'm on dry land. I am not on a life raft, so check. Let's move on. Well, what is a life raft? What is a life raft? Why is it there? What is it for? You say, well, a lifeboat, a life raft. I mean, I know what those are. It's you have a great big ship, and then all around the ship you have little tiny boats, little tiny rafts and so forth, in case the big ship gets a hole in it like the Titanic and sinks or flips over or whatever. You can get in a small one and it keeps you from drowning, right? Absolutely. So a life raft is an important emergency stopgap. It's there to keep you from drowning, right? Now, a life raft is not considered a vessel. All right? If you wanted to leave New York and go across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe or England, or wanted to go to, through the Straits of Gibraltar or what have you, you probably wouldn't go shopping for a life raft, would you? You're like, no, I wouldn't go shopping for a life raft because a life raft, well, what doesn't it have? A life raft doesn't have a motor, doesn't have an engine, it doesn't have sails. They might have one of those little tiny emergency paddles in there, but, that's just to kind of like turn you from one direction to another. It doesn't really help you. And what else doesn't a life raft have? A life raft doesn't have a navigation system. Many, ships have what? They have rudders. And then the rudder is it helps you get pointed in the right direction, right? It has a navigation system. It has a wheel. It has a rudder. It has all those nautical things, right? It has an engine. If it doesn't have an engine, it has sails or what have you. All those things to get you going in the right direction. But a life raft doesn't have those. A life raft, once you're in a life raft, you're basically just bobbing along, on top of the waves, waiting for somebody in a big ship or a helicopter or whatever to come find you. Now, in our lives, many times we have to go for a life raft. We have to grab onto a life raft because we need that emergency stopgap. It could be you are in school or you're out of school or you need to get a job to pay the bills. You need to get a job to pay the bills right now. And you don't have time to be choosy. So you get a job because you have to have a job because responsible adult humans have jobs and they pay their bills and they buy food and all that stuff, right? So let's say you took a job because you needed to get a job. But you told yourself, you said, well, my career goal is to do X, Y, or Z. You say, I really want to be a blank, or I really want to do this or to do that with my life. Maybe you took a job just as a stopgap, as an emergency life raft stopgap to get some money to pay the bills, to, get yourself out of debt or what have you. But that was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And you find yourself, all those dreams and aspirations and goals that you had once, you've kind of forgotten about them. And you're not really moving forward, you're just kind of floating. Or you could be floating in a relationship. Maybe you reached out and you grabbed a hold of someone because you didn't want to be lonely, because you didn't want to, live alone. But you realize after time that your relationship is basically just a life raft. You're just hanging on. You're not moving forward. Your life isn't productive and positive. You're just floating. Many times we find ourselves in our life. Now, a life raft is important. Don't get me wrong. I would rather have a life raft than nothing. I would rather have a life raft than a life jacket. I would rather be out of the water in something than bobbing around in the water like a cork waiting for the sharks to come pull my legs off. But you need direction in your life. You need a guidance system. You need an engine and a rudder and a navigation system if you want to get somewhere. If you want to move forward and achieve goals and, increase your productivity in life, you can't really do that in a life raft, can you? You say, well, I can stick my hand in the water and paddle, but how far am I going to get that way? Maybe I could take off my jacket and act like, use it like a sail or something. But the fact of the matter is a life raft isn't really designed to get you anywhere. It's just designed to keep you afloat while you're waiting for something else to happen. Now, many people are in a life raft and they're bobbing along and, philosophically, they're living in a life raft and they're just waiting for someone or something to come along and rescue them. And until someone or something comes along and rescues them, they're just going to float. And what you need to ask yourself, is that the position that you're currently in? Or have you been in that position in the past? Or do you know someone else that's currently they're living in a life raft. They're just floating along, waiting for someone or something to rescue them. If you have the option to get out of the life raft and get into a boat with an engine and a rudder and a navigation system, that'd probably be a better idea, because then you can point the boat in a direction and go there. Maybe you need to point your life in a new direction, or maybe you need to do something to get yourself going faster or, farther towards your goals. We all find that in our lives. We all go through soft periods. We all go through periods of depression. We all go through periods where we're just clinging to something and we tell ourselves that it's only going to be temporary. But then temporary becomes a year or 2 or 3 or more. And what you thought was just going to be a temporary situation became really comfortable. You see, if you're in a life raft, especially if you're in a life raft by yourself, you probably got a lot of room to lay down. Close your eyes and you become comfortable and just let the sea take you where it wants to take you. And many people do that in their lives. They get comfortable in the life raft. They just put their feet up and they allow themselves to just drift along. How many of you out there have children that you feel like are just drifting along in a life raft without direction? So today, it's all about self-examination and considering whether or not you are currently living in a life raft. Now, you may be in a life raft because you had to grab onto something. You needed to get a job. You needed to have something to pay the bills, and you didn't have time to be choosy. And that's good. That's fine. We all find ourselves that way. But a life raft is supposed to be a temporary stopgap. You're not supposed to live there. Not supposed to be where you stay. You're supposed to get out, get some direction, get an engine, get a sail, and get moving forward towards your goals so that you can live a more positive and a productive life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say about that. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Morning Mindset. I certainly enjoyed sitting down behind this microphone to deliver it to you. If you don't have a copy of the book, pop over to Amazon, grab one, get a paperback copy, get a Kindle version so that you can follow along. And do me a favor. If you have read the book and you did enjoy the book, please go to Amazon and leave a review. It does indeed matter, and they do indeed follow that. And in order for them, Amazon, to promote the books that they have internally, they look at the reviews, whether they're 5 stars or what have you, and the number of reviews before they do that. So if you'd like other people to experience what you're experiencing right now, take a moment, go to Amazon.com and leave a review. I'm your host, Paul Markle. Talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markle, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.